Hey Trista, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I thought we'd just do a little podcast here. So welcome to the podcast. We're going to talk about hypopressives and what goes on in hypopressives and language and communication and you've just spent a weekend with me on my course. We've done lots of different talking. How about we just get started and get relaxed into it? As you can see, I have no prepared questions whatsoever. We're just going to free form this.
Sure.
So super cash. You got to know me over the past couple of days. How did you find the course? How did the weekend go? And how did you find me in real life compared to online? Because we've done a lot of back and forth online.
Well, I really like the course. I really like you in real life, which is why I really wanted to come to the course, because I'm kind of better with this kind of human interaction than I am with a written word on social media. I like it much better, so I really wanted to come. I really like the course. I like the language that you used. I was able to find similarities with the language I'm familiar with using, and therefore was able to connect better with the technique or what you're offering as far as the strength training piece. So I really liked it, and it was something fresh. It put me in, took me out of my comfort zone in some areas. I'm not used to lifting weights like that or moving like that, which was another reason why I came. I wanted to feel that empowerment and to be able to do that kind of, to know I could if I wanted to go there, which I like. I like knowing that I could do that if I want to. Definitely there's things that I've taken away from it that I'm excited to try in my own personal practice, strength training that I do, and I will be doing tomorrow. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Fantastic. And one of the great things that we did was we had dinner before we are recording this,
yes.
and we
Very
had
late.
a little bit. Yeah, we had a bit of a chat about some of the history of how you came to be involved in hypopressives and how you've gone about your training and the training that you do. Can you tell us a little bit about hypopressives and what your take on the whole thing is?
Well, my take came at it from a personal perspective, so that is how I found out about hypopressives. I like people to know this when I'm teaching the courses. I like to share my story when I'm teaching the courses, because it wasn't a business opportunity that I sought after. It was really, I responded really well to the technique from a personal standpoint, and I really wanted to help as many people as I could. If there was a percentage of the population that would respond the way I was responding, I felt I wanted to bring it to Canada and to North America. So my perspective, I guess, has changed a little bit from my approach, learning it, how I learned it, how I was taught, how I'm taught to teach it. And I think everybody is, well, as I'm sure that you agree, as you teach courses and more courses, you evolve, you see more and more clients, your technique, your personal approach changes, and it kind of grows organically that way, which is nice. I like that about it. I still very much see it as an exercise technique, as a restoration and maintenance program. I definitely talk about it as a maintenance program. It's not a magical pill. It's not something you just do and you are healed. You have to practice and maintain it. And everybody's maintenance program is different depending on who you are, the activities that you like to do, whether you're the athlete, whether you're a mom, whether you're an older adult. Depends on who you are, how we approach the client or the patient, or when we're teaching this technique, and how we're catering to their goals.
Beautiful.
Does that, maybe I steered away a little bit from that question, but...
Did you get it off your chest?
Yeah, I think so. There's still some other things I want to cover, but yeah.
Cool. So tell us, what's the, like, I know that I use the word claims to mean something that, it's a statement of belief, and you took issue with the word claims. That was at dinner last night.
Yeah, might have been dinner last night.
Yeah. So tell us what some of what you were taught hypopressives do. What are some of the things that you think you're doing with the pelvic floor and the abdomen, and what's going on inside the body during the technique?
So when we're doing this exercise technique, we do this apnea and false inhale, which some people also call it the vacuum breath, where we're creating this abdominal vacuum. So if we're looking at just that component to the exercise program, which is a full body approach, so it's just a segment of the technique itself, we have to really train before we even start with that piece with our clients. There's a lot that we're doing beforehand. We're looking at how they're breathing, what their breathing patterns are like, what their inhalation is as much as their exhalation. Because when we do this apnea and false inhale, we're essentially mimicking taking a breath, but without air. So if the person is not breathing what we see as an optimal breath, or a nice breathing breath, then it's not ideal for them to just automatically start doing these apneas and vacuum breaths. When we do this exercise technique, we always do in the beginning 3 what we call rest breaths, where we're inhale, and exhale, exhale, exhale. We do 3 of these before we do one of those vacuum breaths. So we technically are doing more rest breaths than we are of this vacuum breath with the technique as a whole. So if that person is doing like a belly breath, isn't getting rib expansion, is creating a lot of pressure in her everyday breathing, she's not going to reap the same benefits as she would if we help her to breathe a little bit better before we introduce this apnea, where she is essentially mimicking taking a breath without air. So what we do is we do the 3 rest breaths. We exhale the air out. We are not trying to get rid of all of the residual air, so we are not going to everything out, nor are we doing it with a final push. It's literally we open the airway, we let the air out as we lengthen and grow, and by the time the exhale is out, it's out. And we close off the glottis if they can, or close through here, and we go to mimic taking a breath, as if we are going to breathe through the throat, not the nose, so the nose is inactive, doesn't play a role. We go to mimic taking a breath, but we don't allow air in, and we open the rib cage the same way. And when we do this, we create a vacuum effect where things are getting drawn inwards and upwards, so we get a decongestion of the pelvic cavity where the organs are repositioned back up or drawn upwards. The pelvic floor is also drawn up. We see this and feel it happening. And the abdominals get drawn inwards and upwards. So we get like this deep myofascial traction and release within, as well as we're recruiting muscle fibers that we believe are more the tonic muscle fibers, the ones that are for resting tone and postural function, respiration, more so than the ones that are built for strength, like type 2 is what we know as the type 2 muscle fibers. So that's what's happening, and we're creating this vacuum effect and getting drawn in. So we get a diaphragm, a release of the diaphragm. We enable it to open up and broaden because we're using all our inspiratory muscles to create this opening. Does that make sense? So on the exhale, the diaphragm rises as the rib cage draws inwards, glides inwards. So when it's in this position, then we go to do our inhale. Is it turned off?
It's okay.
Okay. As we do our false inhale, then we act upon it. and we go to do this inhale, so we're acting upon the diaphragm and bringing it more into this position, and we create this vacuum.
Right.
Does that make sense, what I'm saying? Kind of?
It does make sense, and you know, a lot of, as you know, a lot of what I've written with you about online has been just what some of those beliefs are around what's happening.
Yeah.
But before I go on, I just want to say right off the bat, and you know that I know this, you help lots and lots of people. Hypopressives have helped people a lot around the world. That's not in doubt for me. That's never really been in doubt for me.
Yeah.
People find it helpful. Full stop. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
What we're talking about are the ideas, and we're just trying, you know, you and others, you know, are just trying to explain why it seems to be helping, why you see a decrease in symptoms, why people feel differently. And I just want to acknowledge that right off the bat, that it's not about are you helping people or not. I just assume you are helping people because you told me you are.
Yeah.
So that's not in doubt, okay?
Okay.
Okay. It's really important that you understand that I know that.
Yeah.
And that our starting space is not about you personally. It's not about what you know. It's just about the ideas around the stories, trying to explain why. So as long as we're cool with that, you know, we can keep going forwards. Okay?
Yeah. I'm going to just do my best to help.
Yeah, and you know, I think one of the things that I found with the language often, and this is not just from you, right? Like this is anybody who's talking about any modality, any exercise type of treatment, any exercise type of preference, is that we're always including me, we're always creating stories to try and explain why what we do works.
Yeah.
And you know, one of the things that science has been really good at telling us is that quite often what we think is happening is not actually happening, even though people are getting better or they're getting an effect that we're after. So I think it's really important to acknowledge that, you know, we're dealing with the ideas, trying to explain why.
100%, and quite frankly, I think you raise a good point in the fact that with my clients, I can help my clients by using the simplest of terms, like a garden hose and a dental floss string and lining up domes. They have no clue what the dome is, but if I go into more detail, it distracts from what I really want them to just settle and focus on, the simplicity. So I guess in saying that, the language is different. I think the language is important, depending on who you're working with, etc. And so I don't remember where I was going with that, but
I think what you're saying is that the simplicity of the language is effective, and that you don't need to have complicated anatomical understanding to make what you want happen.
Yes, yeah. That's what I'm trying to say.
Cool.
It's really late. It's been a long day.
It has
but
been.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to say, though. Although online, you know, I try, and it's really hard for me to put it into words. Sometimes even talking about it is, but when I'm working with the client and I really am connecting with them at a really, and I don't want to say dumbed down version, but it's the simplest. And when I teach the courses, I really have to tell the physios to just, oh my God, get out of your brain and just let go and let yourself feel and connect with it that way. So like you say, there's aspects of it that for me, I'm like, I may not be 100% on why the garden hose is working. I know why I cue it and have them connecting with it. I have my reasons for it and what it means and everything. But it works. But that analogy might not work for someone else, and I might need to use another cue for somebody else.
And it's not an explanation, right? It's not an explanation of how it works.
No.
You're just trying to get the effect that you're looking for.
Yeah. So even within the courses, I really want them to allow themselves to feel what's happening. And we have the yoga instructors, also some of them come and they're like, but I belly breathe. Or some of the PTs are like, well, we teach belly breathing. And I'm like, that's okay. All I'm asking you to do is to feel. So allow yourself to feel what the belly breath feels like for you and compare it to what this feels like to you, where we do more of a rib cage expansion instead of going to the breath. Whatever you choose is okay, but open yourself up to allowing yourself to feel the other. So then you have the ability to say, maybe I like to stay with the belly breath. Maybe the belly breath is good for this practice. And wow, this type of breathing is a nice balance, offers a nice balance for what I'm doing with my other activities, the Pilates, the yoga, whatever. All of that is good. And so, we have another tool that we can use. And it doesn't have to be as complicated as, one thinks it is. I don't know, now I'm redirecting again. You're going to edit this, right?
No.
Oh, okay,
This is just pure and honest.
Okay.
So I think you're doing great.
Okay.
One more thing that I wanted to add is that getting to know you and listen to you and watch you interact with the material that I present, the thing that I get from you is that you're different in person than you are online. See, online, you present. It seems like you try to present certainty, but in person, what I get from you is someone who is just really focused on the patient, which of course, suits my biases because that's really what I would love people to do as well. Mm-hmm. And it's been a pleasure getting to see that, you're not hypopressives is the answer, everything must be hypopressives. You didn't sit out of any of the exercises. In fact, you jumped in there and you were getting into it. And, at any time somebody has something to sell, including me, mm-hmm. I think one of the things that we can fall into the trap of is always selling what we do. And what was really nice was that you didn't really bring up hypopressives very much. I didn't feel the need to address hypopressives very much.
Not at all.
And, it was all about interacting, and the thing that I loved was that it was about the client. The most amount of passion that I got from you was when you started talking about helping other people, and just how much it obviously has helped you as well. Mm-hmm. So, I think that's fantastic. You raised it earlier, just a few seconds ago, that, maybe that breathing, that the hypopressive style of breathing is useful for your Pilates or your yoga, or when you go do this or when you go do that. So I'm getting the sense that it's just another facet that you can incorporate into your everyday life, something that you have to practice, but how do you encourage your clients to implement it into their life?
Okay, so 100%, it is something that you can easily use to balance and counterbalance the other activities of your choice, whatever they may be. Again, it depends on the client. So we try and build them up to a program or the ability to practice confidently, safely on their own. The goal is for them to not have to keep seeing me, but they now have a tool that they can use in their daily lives. So it varies greatly from one person to the next. I might have one mom who's like, 2 or 3 times a week, my hypopressive days, I do 20 minutes, that's all I need. Whereas I might have someone else say, I get up in the morning, I just do 4 poses, it's awesome. That's what I do. I have actually a businessman who closes his office door at about 4 o'clock every afternoon and does his hypopressives because it kind of reoxygenates him. There's a very mindfulness component to it. And it kind of resets him for the rest of what he has to do that day. Some athletes might like to use 1 or 2 poses before their event, before their workout. That helps to warm up the diaphragm, circulation, get the movement going. Again, there's a mindfulness piece, whereas others might like to finish with it. So you can use it at the end of the workout. You can use it in the middle of the day. If you're a mom who's like, oh my God, the kids are kind of fine, and then kind of secretly does her hypopressives off in the corner, it's all good. Whatever works for that person. We don't ever say that, or I never say that something else is not right or not good, because we know it could be perfectly fine for that person, whatever it is they want to practice, whether it's the CrossFit or Pilates or what have you. And there's certain people that maybe it's not ideal for at that time, but it can be the same with hypopressives. And hypopressives is a tool that, as we said, helped me. It has helped a number of people, my clients, but hey, it's a tool. There's many tools out there that have proven effective for many people. And I think it really has to do with which one resonates the best with you. Which one are you able to, I kind of say, surrender yourself to, and allow yourself to practice and to do. And I think one thing that's maybe unfortunate, maybe it's also okay, it doesn't matter, but sometimes I think whether it's hypopressives or another technique that they're using to try and help achieve their goal, if it's pelvic floor dysfunction, I guess is mainly what I'm talking about, I think it's unfortunate when someone so quickly jumps from one thing to the next. And I even mean it if they jump to hypopressives and they're trying something and then they heard hypopressives is really great and they ignore but it's like, but did you really give it a try? Did you really allow yourself to, before you jumped on the bed with someone else? So I think if you're gonna choose something, and I think it's okay to experiment with other things and explore that, but I think it would be nice if we didn't give up so quickly on certain things, and threw the towel in too fast, no matter what program it is. And I think hypopressives, you asked where that fits in. I think in another perspective of where it fits in, I think maybe it's the starting takeoff point for someone who is going to then progress to something else. Hypopressives was their thing that was going to allow them to go to the next step of whatever that is, training that looked like mothering, that looked like laundry, whatever. But maybe it's not. Maybe they've done a certain number of tools that they worked with and it got them to a certain point that now, hypopressives is for them and it makes sense and they get it and now that's their point. So I think where it fits in, it depends on the person and what they're ready for. I've had a client who's come to me and we did hypopressives. It was good. She got results. I kind of felt like she wasn't really there. You offer them the best guidance that you can and they're going to absorb what they want to of that. They're going to hold on to their story, I guess you could say, or their beliefs and what they are attached to. Maybe they're not as willing to let go of some things as you'd kind of hope that they would let go of in order to explore something else. And then something happens and they kind of go away and their family commitment, life happens. I don't see them for a while. They come back and they're like, you know what? Okay, I gotta do this again. Like family, whatever. I stopped, I need to get back into this again. I was getting some results, but I need to, and they get results like this, way faster. And they're like, oh my God, I feel it way different, or it's way more. And I'm just like, you're a different person now than you were when I saw you before. Before you were there, but you weren't really there. You weren't really with me in this, And now for some reason, mentally and physically, they are allowing themselves to be there and they got the results that they wanted. They felt it in a different way. You can see them change differently than where they had been before.
So what I just heard is that your mindset, your whole psychosocial piece actually plays a massive part because they were going through the motions.
Yeah.
But you felt, you're not really with me. That's psychological. That's, what's going on in their life. That's just all their other shit, right?
Yeah.
And that seems to be a big part of it for you. Is that right?
I believe it's a big part of everything. actually, but maybe that's my way of doing things. When I took your course, I wanted to learn. It's not my area of expertise, but I want to learn what that is. I don't know how to cue, how Connor was cueing. I'm not going to try and step in on that. I'm learning because I'm learning something new. So I want to, like I say, surrender myself to what is happening here in the moment so I can get the most out of it. And I think that if you are doing something, and whether it's a treatment, and the whole time you're lying there like, oh my God, I don't feel anything, this is nothing, this is so stupid, why am I even lying here? I'm telling you, you're probably not going to get the great results that if you're like, oh yeah, okay, I get it, I'm trying to, and I really, really believe that that's a big part of
how people
life.
get better, right?
Yeah, that's how you thrive, maybe. That's how you, I don't know, love life, or
be present.
In the moment, and allow yourself to be there without second guessing it, give it a try. Maybe explore the second guessing afterwards, but allow yourself mentally and physically to be there. And I really think that's a big part of everything. Yeah.
You've said the second guessing, you've said you've talked about what's going on with them. Really pointed question now. Mm-hmm. How committed are you? So because you've said a whole bunch of things about the anatomy, what you think happens, what you think you're trying to get clients to do, that I think some people would say, well, I don't think that's really happening. Well, I don't think the body works that way. How open are you for the stories to change?
What do you, maybe I don't understand
the stories, the explanations as to why hypopressives might be working, or the way that it works. Like you said,
you know what, I don't care how it changes, quite frankly. You can tell me, or someone else can tell me that's not what's happening, but it doesn't matter, because I'm doing what I'm doing, and what I'm doing is getting results, is helping people. So I'm teaching it the way I'm teaching it, based on, I don't know, what I'm seeing get result. I don't have to know the nitty gritty, maybe. I didn't need to know that for myself. That's not what connected it. I didn't know any of that when I started it. I literally felt it and was sold. So then when I started to hear about it, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But I actually never really went into it from that perspective.
Yeah.
So
it was the experience, not the head knowledge. 100%.
100%. And actually, if I start to go into the head knowledge too much, sometimes I start to question, or I wonder, but I really kind of let it go, because this is like with a client perspective, or for myself, I just feel, I just know, I see, I guide them to what I sense is the right thing. I know the poses, the positions, how to do it. I know what the breath is supposed to look like. I know the language that works with my clients, and I can connect with them. I feel better than I can connect with the physio in a physio world. I'm not a physiotherapist. I'm a trainer, so I never claim to have the knowledge of a pelvic floor physio or a physio. I really came at it with what I'm feeling and what I feel. And I think when I teach it, and I'm teaching it to clients, I'm going on what the feeling is. And I think that's what lends itself, the passion I have, because it feels so awesome, and I want to give that feeling to people. So I teach it, and I teach the courses, and I think if you ask the people who take the courses, that you'll possibly get the same answer, that it's I teach it with the passion. The practice is my favorite part of teaching. That's the part that I love the most, and I give the most care to that piece because that's the piece that I connect with, I think, the most as a trainer. And that's the human interaction piece that I connect with the most. So that's where my comfort zone is. My comfort zone is not necessarily the analytical piece.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. One of the things that likes to get raised in different places in the physio world and in the, just in the broader health community is logical fallacies like post hoc fallacy where, and you didn't say this, but you came really, really close, but you didn't do it.
Okay.
But it's like, hey, I get results, this works. And so this can trigger quite a lot of people. I've been thinking about, what would, if it was me in your shoes, what would I do differently about speaking about hypopressives? And I think, honestly, just adding uncertainty seems to be, this is what we think happens as opposed to the diaphragm does this. The ribs do that, the pelvic floor does that. Like, that tends to draw a line in the sand for people, and then they line up against you. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm sure you've had your fair share of people going here, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully I'm not one of them. Like, I'm happy to discuss things, but I've never attacked you, right?
No.
Yeah,
No.
it's always been a discussion about the ideas.
And I don't think, I think sometimes I need to, with social media, there's different perspectives, things can be read differently. Sometimes I have to take a step back and be like, okay, wait a minute. That's not the tone this person is asking me the question. I'm not trying to say, no, that's not that, it's this. And I hope that people, when they read what I write, read it, that I'm just trying to passionately make sense of it to help them understand it. But part of me wants to stand up for it, not part of me, I do want to stand up for it.
Of course.
Because it's what I do, it's what I believe in, it's what I feel, it's what I teach. I want to stand up for what I'm doing, but I don't want that to come across as wrong. Does that make sense? I don't want it to come across as, hey, what I'm saying is right, what you're saying is wrong. I'm just trying to, I don't want people to knock down what I'm getting results doing, and to say what I'm doing is wrong. And I never tell a PT that what you're doing is wrong. I never say, no, they shouldn't do Kegels. How do I know if they should do a Kegel or not? I don't.
Yeah.
I network a lot with the pelvic floor physiotherapists. I want their perspective. And actually, I love teaching the courses when I have the osteos, the physios, the yoga instructor. Oh my God, we can learn so much from each other. They might have a cue I would have never ever thought of using, or it's like, oh my God, that's brilliant. Like, we can learn so much from each other. And so I guess it makes me a little bit protective because I would never say that to anybody else, or I would never say to a client, what are you doing? You shouldn't be doing that. That's not right. I'm like, oh, let's explore it. And I say, if we approach things, and I say this with my clients, approach it with curiosity. Don't approach it with like, oh, I can't do this, I'm getting frustrated, it's not right. No, approach it with, that's interesting. When I did that, this happened. Why is that? Okay. Then we're looking at it a different way, in different perspectives. And I think maybe if we all looked at each other's, oh, that's interesting, she's getting results. I wonder why. Let me try. I wonder if I try, I wonder, but let's be curious and open. And I say the same with my clients. Don't get frustrated. It's okay. Take a curiosity approach to it. That's weird. Why did the pressure go down when I did that? Or notice, I did increase pressure when I did that. Maybe if I do it this way, oh, that's better. Now I'm feeling, okay, but you felt what the not good feeling felt like and what the good feeling felt like. So the good feeling is the reward. So let's remember, what's giving us a bit more of the reward in order to be open to it. Does that make sense? So I think
It does.
I'm willing to be curious about other things that are happening, other techniques, so I think sometimes I get a little bit upset if someone is like, that's not what's happening, that can't happen, what are you doing? It doesn't work. You say it works, but it does, and I'm just like, hey man, I didn't create the stories that my clients wrote or what's happening. They wrote them. Some of them are just emails they wrote to me. And I just want to share it because it's the connection that someone might make with that story, that personal story, that puts them into a comfort of, oh my God, something can be done here. I may have
something to
control.
offer.
Yeah, or they say like, oh, maybe no isn't the answer. Maybe all the negativity I read, that's not my story. This is more my story. Yeah. I'm that person.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to share those stories. And like we chatted yesterday as far as the claims go, I hated the word claims. I hate it. It makes me, I don't know, there's something about that word I don't like. I don't know why.
Makes you feel a bit dirty.
Yeah, like it makes me feel like the car salesman claims as opposed to the, I just want to share with you that there are people out there that have the same.
Sure.
You are going through the same thing as you and that you're not alone. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say, look this is what she did, this is what it did for her, this is the results it gave her. That's not why I'm doing those. It's more because I want the human interaction. Someone reads it.
Well, you see, we live in a world of testimonials, Sorry to cut you off. But we live in a world of testimonials where here's the results, therefore, what I believe, why it works, is proof. Like the thing, and I'm glad that you seem like you're disagreeing with that, but that's what sometimes it comes across as. Mm-hmm. The thing that I've really appreciated from you is that you have this tremendous ability to generate a connection in person. And, we talked about this over dinner. What if you're helping people because you're really personable, and this is just something so different for them that it changes their symptoms? Like, are you happy with that as a possible explanation as to why it works?
I am, because I think it's a big piece of it.
Right?
I think it's the technique as well that is, for sure, that's my tool.
Sure.
That I'm incorporating. But like we talked about, I think, and I mentioned it in the last podcast, and I think it's not only in what I'm doing, I think it's when I see other people and when other people are practicing the tools that they're using. I think if you're willing to give the person this, I think that's the important part.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's it means a lot to me, and that's my, it's, and that's why I found something that's given me, I don't know, it's given me the ability to help other people, and
yes.
Their stories and the things they tell me are what, I don't want to say it's what fuels me because it's the wrong word, but it's like, thank you for allowing me to be able to help people and
gratitude.
For people to be grateful for something that I can offer, I think.
You've helped lots and lots of people, and I said that right off the bat because I wanted to make sure that you knew that it's not about whether what you do is effective or not.
No, and I realize that. I'm just, but you asked me, and I really, it means so much to me. I think that connection that I give it my all.
Yeah.
With everybody that I see, and I don't just leave it at this session. I'm thinking about them all the time.
I saw that. I saw you messaging on the way to record this. You were trying to organise an appointment for somebody who missed out on something because of just an online booking error that was out of your control, out of their control. It just didn't work out. And you're busy on a Sunday trying to make sure that it works out.
You're always on. You're always having, you have no problems giving someone a phone call conversation. You have no...
I get that.
Yeah.
And
so I think that is a piece for sure. And I think maybe it misses in some of the treatments that's offered, maybe that's been given to me in the past. Maybe it would have been nicer to have a little more of this. I think some people need it more than others. The approach varies from one person to the next, depending on who's walking into your room. You
said yourself, I think it was yesterday, you said just that connection, even just listening to them, you know you've already started making changes because you can see it in their interaction with you, you know. So for me, Hypopressives, whether it does what you say it does, whether it does what other people say it does, is for me will always be open for debate until we get good science to support it. And I know that we clinically see changes. I know, and I've you know, I had some people take me through the poses and just feeling it, and you know.
I still want to do that at some point with you. Maybe I'll come to Ottawa and give you a session or something when you're in Ottawa. I would like to be able to give you that, and for you to maybe feel or see my approach, and because everybody's approach is a little bit different, and I think everybody's approach is unique and every approach is good. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I want to, I really want you
You want me to have the chance to satisfy your desire to make sure that I get the experience that you know that I could have, right?
Yes, I think so. Because I think it
I
feels
didn't have
so
a
good.
negative.
No,
I
don't
didn't
think
have
you
a negative
did.
experience.
No, I'm not saying that you did.
Yeah.
I just like to play like you like to play. And
I recognize
I think
the
it would be fun to play with you and Hypopressives, and that's why. From a
sharing point of view, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Like I was able to take the course and you were able to share what you offer, which was awesome. I would love to share my thing now with you, so you get a sense of what I want to offer. You know, that's why I think it would be cool and fun, just as a let's play.
I agree. I'm open to it. I'm certainly not against it.
Damn, it's 11 o'clock.
I know. But
we will have a chance.
We will have a chance. Right. I think one of the things that I would say, I just have a natural bias against the explanations that we have for things. And you know, there's lots of things that I could easily just attack.
Oh, you know, for sure. You
on
could
the
chop
anatomy
me up.
side.
If you wanted. Thank you for not doing that.
But that's not the point, right?
Yeah.
The point, I think, is not to get it technically right, because to be honest, I don't think we have those answers. I think for me, what I would love to see in your interaction, I think what would help a lot of physios to calm down about the hype about hypopressives or the anti-hypopressives is just a bit more uncertainty in the language. This is what we think happens.
We hypothesize that we do for something.
This hasn't been supported yet. We've got some small clinical observations that we can share with you, but this is by no means strong evidence, strong research evidence. You know, that does not weaken what you do. It does not invalidate why. It does not invalidate the fact that you've helped lots of people. I think what being uncertain is just more intellectually honest about where we are, and you know that you've said it before. We just don't know exactly why, and this is what you as a trainer have been taught by a physio about what's happening. You know.
But why is it that people are so up in arms about it? Why is that? Why do people so automatically are like, and
Because
take it immediately for face value? Like, why is it that there's like this? I don't understand why they're like, what are you saying? This is not good. They look at a video, they look at a picture, and they're already saying,
making a judgment, right?
yeah, but they've never even tried it or felt it, and I don't understand why they do that. I don't understand why. It's just not my way of being, maybe. So I don't understand why there's such a pullback or negativity. How I perceive is like, this doesn't work. What are you talking? Like, it's so.
So there's
There's
two
such
things.
a wall by certain people, and some people are so willing.
I get the same with my material, right? There's two things. Number one is that everybody feels threatened when what they do seems like it's being attacked, right? So you felt that earlier tonight, where you were describing how your passion, your desire to help people, the gratitude that you have for being able to help people in such a significant and obvious and life-changing way feels under attack when people say things like that doesn't work, and that generates a very defensive, yes it does, like I'm not making this shit up, right? And in the same way, when somebody sees something that gets a result, particularly if they've worked with that patient, and then they pick on the explanation, which may or may not have good reasoning behind it, it suits their bias to attack it. So number one, they feel threatened. I think that's number one. Number two, the language that can be used. We miss more than 70% of communication just by typing only and not having this face-to-face, right? I'm fairly sure, because lots of people have told me before, I'm fairly sure that you might have been a little bit scared about what I might be like in real life. Just because you've seen what I type like, and you hear something in your head about how I'm saying it. And I've been told that it can seem scary, but hopefully you've seen that I'm just a big fat teddy bear. Right?
Okay.
Well,
no, but you
have I been
100%.
aggressive? Have I been aggressive
not
at all?
No, not at all. Not in the slightest. It's been the most enjoyable. Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yep.
And so I recognize that
I wouldn't be able to sit and chat with you like this if I felt any kind of
threat.
Yeah.
Right.
Or negativity. And so, is it, so then in that question, are they, because we're saying that something works, we're not saying that something else doesn't work?
Yeah.
But are they
but
thinking,
sometimes it
understanding
feels like that, I think.
that other things don't work?
Well, you see, people take the stories that are floating around in their own head, and then they project it onto what you're saying. Now, I know that you're not saying that you shouldn't have to do your Kegels now because now you can do hypopressives and it works your pelvic floor. Like I've heard you say many times that it's just another thing to do. It's an addition, right? But everybody thinks, well, if you're adding something, you're taking something away, and you can't do that.
Yeah. And maybe you can.
And right, that's the whole weekend, right? Maybe you can take things away.
It depends on the person.
Right?
And where they're at. So it's not to say that one is right or one is wrong. I think it really depends on who you are, what you're doing. I love working with a team because it's not just my eyes on. I really love the pelvic floor PT perspective because that's not my perspective. I don't see what's happening. I like the their feedback based on if I have a client and I'm like, can you please do one the next time that you're at your physio, so she sees and she can let me know and let you know, okay, things are going in the right direction, we're not bearing down, because what I'm seeing looks really good, or what I'm seeing, I just don't know, it could be good and I'm just not getting a sense of it. Maybe they're ask her. And with the people that I send off to trainers or someone else, I have never any problems connecting with the people, because I think the more eyes on, the more we can help each other from a global perspective, helps the person the most. So I need their tools. I need them to use their tools. And I'm open to them using their tools and discussing, and that's why you're doing that. Okay. So I was going to go at it this way. What do you think? Let's discuss it. Okay, so why don't we give that a try this way, and why don't we this conversation is good and it's healthy and it's good for the client, because we're really just trying to be curious and figure out, because everybody's different and not everybody responds exactly. So I think the more eyes on is better, and I think that if the person needs that, they need that. They might not. Maybe this is all they need and they're good. Awesome. Go for it.
Yep.
Go for it the other way.
Yeah, there's many different ways.
Yeah.
Would you say that Hypopressive suits everybody that tries it?
I don't think that everybody who tries it loves it. I don't think it's for everybody.
Yeah.
It can be made suitable, yes.
But not everybody's going to love it.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to carry on with it.
We can modify it to suit anybody.
But are they going to like it? Like, must Hypopressives be for everybody?
No, it mustn't be for everybody. There's many people who are functioning quite well without Hypopressives.
Right, but see, that's a very reasonable response.
Yeah.
But it's much easier to paint you as an ogre who says, everybody must do Hypopressives. Do you see?
Yeah, but
that's unrealistic, right?
It's unrealistic. But I think that the pelvic floor PTs aren't saying everybody has to do Kegels.
Some
or
do.
Are they?
Some do.
Well, and maybe there are some hypopressive trainers that are like, every hypopressives for everybody. It's supposed to be. But it's like the same person that you're in an exercise class and, hey, those 5 people can do a crunch perfectly fine. They'll be able to do it for the rest of their life with no problem. Those 2 people might need to learn how to do it more efficiently, or they could, and then it's going to be good for them. Whereas maybe those 2 people, it's not for them, for whatever reason, not just pelvic floor. Maybe it's the spine, maybe it's the shoulder, whatever. We're all different human beings, and what's right for one person might not be right for somebody else. But that's okay. And it's okay on what I don't mind if the client comes to me and this is not for them. And I say, see if it's for you, for some people, right? Who are maybe more skeptical or want to try it and just see what you think. And I think, like your course, there are some parts of that course that are like, oh my God, I'm so using that tomorrow. And I need to play with it. And I think some people leave the course and are like, oh my God, I gotta play with it. I'm gonna use it tomorrow. And I think it depends on where the person goes with what they learn at the course. I think that you get different people in every course. And not everybody walks away from every course being like, oh my God, that is so what I'm using. That's my thing.
Yeah.
They might use a part of it and they might be like, oh my God, her cueing with that, I would have never used that. It works great with this. I'm going to use part of that. And maybe they dibble and dabble a little bit with it. I do think you have to go out of your comfort zone. I think a lot of the people who take their course are, and the courses that I've been teaching, because a lot of them are more pelvic PTs, my perspective on some of them, not everybody, but like in every course, I had to go out of my comfort zone for this. You have to go out of, we're used to having then the person come in, the clinical setting, the bed, the room is small, where maybe they have to step back and be like, I don't know if I'm as used to the big body, like working around and cueing this. It's a different way. But they'll find a way if they allow themselves the time to explore that, and you go in little steps. Start the language with the clients.
Right.
Start introducing it a little bit. Be comfortable with the things that you're comfortable with, and then build on it a little bit from that, and build on it a little bit from that. It doesn't have to be, okay, we're doing hypopressives. It's the new thing. This is what we're doing. It's like, no, the cueing, the growing, the stuff, the garden hose. Start with the little bits that you feel comfortable with, and then say, you know what? I think we're going to add one of the poses. Let's play and see if we can add with it. Or let's try the apnea. Maybe they're becoming better with the apnea themselves, feeling it, and they want to start seeing what that does. So they're using it within a comfort. It doesn't have to be slam, bam, hypopressives as soon as you leave the course. I like to try and, in the course, offer them these ways of how to start. I think for sure, if you self-practice, you will become a way better instructor than if
for anything, though,
for
isn't
anything.
It?
Yeah, because then you feel it, you know how to communicate it. You don't have to use all the things that you read in the book, analyzing these cues. You develop your own cues, your own feelings that will resonate with your clients because you have passion about those.
You're a
cues.
very intuitive person, though. Like, you go with your gut, you go with your intuition.
Yeah.
You go with.
I have a very
feeling. It's a feeling. Right?
I'm a really, I am. I really am.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way.
No, it's a lot of a feel, and they don't understand how I just got that. I'm like, I just feel it. I can feel. I know and how to get them to let go, and the cues and the position.
We talked earlier about how, the brain and the perception and the eyes and it can rearrange what you see so that you can't even tell that certain things are doing certain positions just because of the way that your brain organizes things.
Yeah.
And in the same sort of way, it's picking up things that through experience you've just learnt over and over, and despite what people say, which is the head knowledge should be enough, I think we're really doing a disservice to people if we don't look to the experience that they have as well. And like you said, sometimes it's just a little bit of interaction, not necessarily the technique that's doing things. Love what you do, Trista, and it's been really great to get to know you over the last couple of days. It's been really, really good to hear your perspective and to watch you from afar, as well as communicating with you face to face. And it's lovely just to put a person behind the social media, and I wanted you to understand where I was coming from as well, so that next time you read on Facebook and you see me say something like, I'm sure it works, just not for the reasons why we think, you're going to have a whole backstory and go, I completely understand what he's talking about.
Yeah, 100%. Which is why my husband gave up his fishing trip so I could come to your course and have this instead of doing it over social media or written or whatever. I really love this. Yeah. And I'm grateful to be here and to have taken your course and to have the opportunity to sit and chat with you.
Yeah, and honestly,
from not an analytical exactly what's happening,
Which we can do.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not as important to me as, I think, hitting the key points. And I think the key touchstones, just to summarize, is that from your point of view, hypopressives is not the be all and end all. You are able to help people. It seems like a personal connection is a very strong component of what's going on. Mm-hmm. That the people who do it and benefit from it really do love it and self-select into it, just like other people like to do CrossFit or yoga or Pilates, whatever it is they love to do.
Yep.
And that you're not hard and fast on the stories trying to explain why. And in fact, you said that it doesn't even matter why to you because the results matter more. And so that makes you open. You just tell me what the reasons why are, but I know that something's happening, right? Mm-hmm. And so just not being certain about what that is often calming for my mind and my biases, right? And just knowing that you're open to that just makes me a lot more comfortable just in general about, okay, well, we're not dealing with a zealot, we're dealing with a passionate person who's sharing what has helped lots of people and is okay if it doesn't help somebody because she knows that there's other things that might help them as well. I think it's an entirely reasonable response. I hope you've really enjoyed having a chat. I love seeing your passion. I have the same passion. I have the same gratitude that you know, I'm a Christian. I really believe God has blessed me with the ability to be involved in people's lives. And you know, I think that's just such a privilege to be able to do, and that's why I like this interpersonal connection, because it's completely undervalued, you know. Rather than drawing swords at 10 paces on social media, we can have a chat and we have a person that we can talk to behind all of that, you know, like...
Maybe it's more the old school way.
Yeah, maybe we're just old.
I don't know.
I
like more...
Have a chat.
Yeah.
Let's have a chat. Let's go eat something, have a drink.
Yeah.
Right?
Instead of trying to
fight on Facebook.
Manage it all on as you're so Facebooking and trying to do something, you know? Yeah. I
get it.
This is what I love.
Awesome. Look, thank you very much. I know it's been a really long day. It's been a longer day for me, I think.
Yeah, yes, I think so.
But really, really, I feel energized by speaking to you about it. I think you're fantastic. My personal bias is that I don't even think you need to do hypopressives. You could help so many people just by being the person that you are.
You make me cry again.
Not at all. Like, this is why I think that being open to why hypopressives does or doesn't work. I know that it's part of who you are and what's helped you, but I'm genuine when I say that I think a lot of the therapeutic benefit you give is simply because you care so much and so deeply about people. And that's really what's coming across really strongly over the last couple of days. And I don't think it's an act. I don't think you've studied to pass a test. I think this is just who you are. So really enjoyed it, and you know, I will defend anybody who goes you personally, and I will continue saying, Trista, is that really just a story?
But now you can put a wink in with it, and
and you get it.
I get it.
You get it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So thank you for being open to have this conversation, and you know, really had a great time.
Yeah, thanks. I had a really great weekend. It was great being in your space. I sensed the same. I came up to you, I think, at dinner last night or whatever, and I'm like, oh my God, that's a similarity in the way we share our passion and for what we do and in helping others and allowing people to be who they are and to be comfortable. With that in a safe way.
Absolutely. I think you know, I summarize what I do as just doing something different And hypopressives, let's face it, is kind
It's
of really different.
It's totally,
It's
is.
totally different.
Which is one thing I do like about it. I do like that about it.
It's very different,
yeah,
right?
It's kind of cool. It's kind of got some good eye candy with it, but
Right.
yeah.
And so I think you're just doing something different, and you get great results because you're honestly a great person. So
Thank you.
no worries. It's easy to say because it's true, right? I don't have to try and lie about it. So thank you. I look forward to our future interactions, and anytime we can catch up in person, I've got plenty of time for you, and I would love to experience what you would love for me to experience.
Yeah.
You've been so open to lifting, for example. You lifted up something that you've never lifted before, right? How much did you lift today?
I think it was like 85 or something. I'm not sure. What was it? I don't know. Oh no, the second one I went higher.
You went higher?
The higher than that one. The one that you're like, okay, this is. I
This
ended
is
up
the one
doing.
that you're at?
Yeah, I ended up doing the next.
Oh, you
lift
did?
after. Yeah.
That's
Once
115, I think.
Yeah, that's what that was my max, was 115.
That's fantastic.
As soon as he said to become one with the bar, I'm like, oh my God,
I get
become
that.
one? That's my language. I know that. Yes, I can become one with it. And yeah, did the 115. So,
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah,
Really
it was very
great.
cool. It was very cool.
Yeah.
Never, ever done that before.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
Empowering.
just that willingness to try that, it tells me lots and lots, so
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.